In the last chapter of JoJoLands 11, the team quickly learns just how outclassed they are by Rohan. The fight goes pretty much how you would expect it, with him beating the absolute dog shit out of Paco and Usagi. Where we pick up in chapter 5, he's tying them up with their own zip ties while Dragona just sits there panicking over how crazy this diamond is. Chapter 5 seems like a really important one. It gives us a lot of new information and foreshadows some potential problems for the story. I could talk about all of that and maybe even some of these cool ass references from the chapter, but instead I decided to be a big nerd and make a second video about the most interesting part of the JoJoLands so far. Rocks.
What the hell happened? It was this damn ass rock. Ow, my ass!
The cover page of chapter 5 gives us another clean look at our boy Jodio, who seems like he's planning something clever, and he definitely is with the way things play out later. He's joined by the text, "Rise up to the pinnacle of this world's mechanisms." This is a callback to chapter 1 when Jodio is telling us all about mechanisms and his plan to become rich. We see him staring at the top of this volcano and he says, "The mechanism has an apex to it, but he just can't see it yet." Then he Mario jumps up the side of the volcano towards the top of it. We've basically been told that this story is going to revolve around Jodio reaching the peak of his mechanism and getting rich. I thought we had reason to believe that the mechanism was actually just this volcano, and that the volcano would be a source of wealth through its production of valuable rocks. I actually made a whole video about it, but this chapter kind of disproves this theory just because of some of the things that happen in it. Before we move on, I actually want to talk about the word mechanism just for a moment. It's obviously going to be an important term in the JoJoLands, but I kind of thought it was something specific that Jodio came up with to explain his worldview to the reader in chapter 1. So far, he said stuff like, "I go to school for my mechanism. There's strength in the mechanism of trust. Being recognized for your efforts is the mechanism." So I was really surprised to see Rohan using it in general, but even more surprised that he used it in the exact same way Jodio did at the volcano. For a moment, I thought Jodio might have gotten it from him because he respects him so much. But in the first chapter, he's mostly talking to us in the present tense, even though he does tell some parts of the story like they've already happened. For example, on the last page, he says, "Our job is to go to Hawaii Island." And then right after, he says, "It turned out she was right. A team of 3 wasn't enough." I bring this up because when Jodio says his mechanism is a principle of the world that makes wealth flow straight to him, I thought he was exaggerating. But I'm starting to think that we should take this line at least somewhat literally, because Rohan says, "There is a law of nature that lies within that lava." They're basically saying the same thing, and that law has to be whatever's causing this weird stuff to happen in the villa. The first thing being Dragona having the worst time of their life trying to steal this diamond. In chapter 4, we saw how nobody could grab it and hold on to it, but now it teleports from Dragona's hand to a coffee mug that's closer to Rohan. After this, we see the loot that Paco drops after he gets down. The money that he stole in chapter 3 looks like it's flowing from his pockets back to Rohan, who it belonged to in the first place. It seems strange that he didn't seem to care all that much when he found the crew trying to steal his $6 million diamond in chapter 4. But now we know that he wasn't worried about it because it literally could not be stolen due to this natural law that he tells Jodio about later. But before we get to that, I just have to acknowledge how quickly Jodio comes in and humbles Rohan. He could have just made it rain on them and then ran like he did with the cops in the first 2 chapters. But instead, he comes up with a really impressive plan. He lures Rohan into a trap and then ties him up so that he can ensure the team could get away without any extra trouble, and without having their wanted levels go up. Then, he just embarrasses the guy before asking him to call off the police. This is probably my favorite set of panels from the JoJoLands so far. Using the power of common sense, Jodio is able to figure out that these 2 pieces of lava in the safe next to the diamond, that were drawn as one big chunk in chapter 3, are actually the most valuable things in the house and not the diamond itself. He uses them as a bargaining chip, and for the first time in this situation, we actually see Rohan get nervous. Their boss, Meryl May, describes Rohan as a single, rich Japanese guy who's just on vacation. But he really isn't there just to sightsee. He's actually there to study the lava. This is why he has so many pictures of cooled lava and volcanoes on his iPad. And also the reason why he has so many rocks all over the floor in his office where he's trying to purify them or whatever. Clearly, these are rare, super important rocks that anyone would be lucky to get their hands on. So, Jodio smashes one of them to convince Rohan to call off the police. Then he just blows the dust away to be petty. He also breaks the man's phone in the process too, which is kind of a dick move, but whatever. Right after this, Jodio and Rohan come to the agreement that Rohan will call off the police and the crew will just leave like nothing ever happened. But something else important happens here as well. Jodio officially comes into possession of the lava. Because of this, the crew can finally steal the diamond that they were there to take in the first place without it acting all weird on them. After this, we're given a bunch of new information and some foreshadowing. Rohan tells Jodio that with great lava, there must also come great responsibility. Since one was destroyed, there's only one left. We don't know for sure if that means there's only one left in the world, or if there's only one left out of the ones that Rohan found. But either way, they don't seem that easy to locate. Rohan urges Jodio to hold on to the rock and protect it at all costs. It seems like he's kind of concerned that something bad might happen if it falls into the wrong hands. And also, there's a bonus. If Jodio completes this quest, then he becomes rich, and we already know that he succeeds in that. Before they part ways, Rohan warns Jodio not to tell anyone else what he knows about the lava. And this is kind of a no-brainer because people would pursue him to the ends of the earth just for whatever power we've already seen. So far, it's kind of like a Diet Milagro man, in the sense that the owner's valuable possessions come back to them. But we don't know for sure that this is all it can do. Rohan telling Jodio that the mechanism of fortune will gradually come to him makes me think that its power either gets stronger or changes somewhat over time. Either way, it's something that he should definitely keep on the low, especially considering most of the people he knows are criminals. The interesting thing is, Rohan even tells him not to trust his own crew, which honestly still makes a lot of sense. There is no honor among thieves. I'm really curious to know if Rohan is saying this because he sees them as incompetent due to how easily he took them out, or if he read something about their intentions when he was using Heaven's Door. Since the end of chapter 1, a lot of people have been thinking Jodio getting backstabbed was inevitable, and it's teased pretty hard here. So who do you think it will be out of these three? I'd say the obvious choice is Paco, but I also feel like Usagi is putting on a bit of an act. Personally, I'm not really considering Dragona, but that would be a hell of a twist. The chapter wraps up with the crew heading back through the jungle to get to the airport, but they're being followed by the cat that attacked them in the villa, and this time it's bringing 2 more cat homies with it. Back when Rohan first got tied up, he warned the crew that they were being followed, and these cats are 100% what he was talking about. He wasn't too worried about his own safety regarding this situation, so I think it's safe to assume that whoever sent these cats, or the cats themselves, have no idea about the lava or what it can do. But I guess they'll find out when they try to steal the diamond. Chapter 5 was already crazy enough, but now the crew's jumping out of the fire straight into the frying pan. I can't wait to see how the confrontation between Kitty Gang and Team Jodio plays out, especially because the cats are about to sneak them and we still haven't seen Jodio fight another stand user straight up. What are you looking forward to the most from the next chapter? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Peace.